Dustin?
Dustin. Washington County Commissioners Court is now in session, Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, 9 a.m. You only got a few more hours to get my gifts, I just want to remind you. So, anyway, Commissioner, may I ask you, would you do the honors this morning?
Yeah, this morning we got Reverend Mike Lindstrom from First United Methodist Church to do the invocation, and then we'll do the pledges.
Let's pray. Lord Jesus, as we approach the day that we celebrate your arrival, you remember that you came not to kings or commissioners, but to a young unmarried girl and a man who was faithful to join her on that journey. Remember that your arrival was announced not in the halls of power, but in the fields among the shepherds. We pray over these who lead our community, that they would lead with such humility, that they would recognize their task in the midst of it all, and that they would honor you in all that they do, and that all of us would give glory to you for all the blessings that we have. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now our pledges. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 3, discussion of the 2024 Max Expedition for the Washington County Extension Service.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask Ms. Shauna to join me. We're going to just share a little update. As you all know, we approved the purchase of the 2024 Expedition Max in late August, early September, with funds from the extension budget. Due to production delays, obviously we have not taken possession of that asset, and therefore we have not paid for that asset yet. But those funds still remain in our budget. At this point, we'll return that plus some extra. So I've talked with Ms. Shauna about what our plans need to be moving forward. So she's going to share kind of a little update of how she sees the progress on what the final payment plan will be.
Gotcha.
So those funds will go back to reserves at the end of the year because there's 1 week left. And so when the vehicle comes in, it will be paid for out of the 2024 reserves to cover that. So I just wanted to have that little update.
So is the intention to do a budget amendment for that
Yes.
next year?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So we just wanted to give an update that
Thank
Well,
you.
wasn't
thank you.
here as expected.
It happens.
Okay. All righty, thank you. Item number 4, presentation of the Washington County Extension Service Quarterly Impact Report.
Judge and Commissioners, y'all have a busy agenda, so we'll make ours fairly brief. Commissioner Hannon, you're going to have to handle a little bit of paper this morning. I know that's much to your chagrin, but there's some additional supplemental reports in there that you will get an electronic copy of shortly this afternoon. So real quickly, the fall, the judge had a suggestion that we transition these director reports to quarterly. And I have to tell you, I appreciate that. And I think in terms of the length of the agenda, it behooves the court as well. Still gives you a chance to see a snapshot of the activities that each department is participating in and supporting and leading without it being every 30 days or so. So ours represents September, October, and November. The 4-H agents report will predominantly be over the county fair, which you know our office has a significant role in supporting the county fair, which we're proud and happy to do. So we'll focus the first part of this on the ag component. So while county fair is a large focus of September, it's not the only thing that we do in September or October. So we actually have a couple of our larger events that'll happen in September and October. One of those is the plant sale. This started, I've told you guys before, out of necessity with the extension mission and vision behind it. There was a need to provide a source for quality plants that actually grew well in our area. So the extension mission and vision is to bring agricultural knowledge back into the community to support the constituents in the community. And so the horticulture committee actually was one of the first groups to debut the Celebrity Tomato back in the 1980s or so. Mr. Stanley Summer was a part of that contingency when it first got going. Many of you know him well. So he's still kind of the brains behind a lot of what is the plant sale. The byproduct of that has been that not only can we support the constituents in the community and provide a quality plant, a quality product with some education to go with it, it also generates scholarship dollars. When I got here, that scholarship was in the value of about $400 per student, and we gave 3. This year, the scholarship value was $1,500 per student. So the committee continues to support growing the sale and generating those revenues. So the trending data there on the second page of the paper report that I provided for you, again, you'll receive an electronic one. You can see what we pre-ordered. So this is a fall plant sale that was something that was started since I've been here. So we're probably on our 5th or 6th year now. Historically, it's always been a spring plant sale, but we added the fall because honestly, if you're a new gardener, the fall is a safer way to go because it's a little less demoralizing to try to grow tomatoes in the fall than it is in the summer, to be quite honest with you. So they have an opportunity to hopefully get a little taste of success in the fall before we really put them through the rigors in the spring. So you can see what we had pre-ordered, the number of customers we served. COVID sent us into drive-through mode, and that remains the theme. That remains the way we do that. And I'll say Director Doremus is probably part of the reason that we continue to do that. Service with a smile. So the sub-hub was delivery and efficiency with a Chick-fil-A approach. So we have the same kind of concept with the horticulture plant sale delivery. And our people really love it. It's all volunteer driven. The folks that you see in the pictures are the ones that are actually doing a lot of the sorting and a lot of the work. The back page there shows you a highlight of the young people we were able to support their education. And those are pretty familiar faces to those of you in the community. You know who those kiddos are. They're strong, they're active, and they're good kids. They're the future leaders that we're going to bring back. So outside of some of our historical data that you can see there for the plant sale, we added another component with our pecan show, which will be the next contingency there. I never knew that when I got 2 advanced degrees in animal science, one of my primary priorities would be supporting a pecan show. I also didn't know people would cheat in a pecan show, but they do in fact do that as well. Polishing pecans is a thing that I was very unaware of until I had the opportunity to learn a little bit more about hosting a pecan show. So we do that for the horticulture committee. Also hosts that event. Some of the produce that you have on your desk today, those are locally grown Washington County pecans. That's what we call the county agent tithe. Those pecans stay with me because they're what's not needed to advance to regionals. But they're all locally grown pecans, so we're sharing those with you. The only request we have is if there is to be a pecan pie baked, we'd like the invitation to join you as well. But those folks are really passionate about it. We do some analysis on that to look at pecan production and economic impact in Washington County. While we have smaller orchards than, say, West Texas, it's still a pretty strong driver in the agricultural community here. So you can see the report there that includes some of the basic details about the pecan show. We added an educational program to go with it because, again, the mission and vision of Extension is education, and my component is a focus on agriculture. The final highlight there is actually going to be the cow-calf clinic, which wraps up our October, and I'll tell you, this is a beast of a program. Most of you as court members and several of you in the audience have been to this program. It's in its 52nd year. The legend, Mr. Bill Thane, is the one that started that. And it's something that I promised him when I got here we would continue to support and work to grow. So we've done that by adding some additional components to it. So you can see what the information is on the adult attendance. You can see that the target for that program are folks that manage upwards of 550,000 head of cattle, controlling interests on well over 1 million acres of land. So those folks are decision makers. Those folks are using practices that we're teaching them to improve their bottom line, their best management practices, things like that. But the additional things that we've done outside of the adult track have been to add a youth component. So we now welcome right at 85 high school age young people to do hands-on learning for the day. So they spend a fair bit of time. It's almost a full day program for them. It is this year it became application based because we have what we call a 101 and a 201. So we've actually taken and tiered that learning model as well to give it a more advanced approach for some of the kids that have been through it with us before. The whole concept behind the adult track, the youth track, and then what we'll cover in the scholarship program is to cultivate the next generation of volunteers and leaders. I think our generations all grew up with parents and grandparents that were committed to giving back and committed to being a part of volunteerism. Sometimes I think that art may be lost. We may be wavering a little bit in it. So our goal is to bring those kids in early into the fold, get them involved, get them to where they say, I've been to this since I was in the 8th grade, to where they don't want to miss it. They want to be a part of something, and then they actually give back in the community and serve on extension committees, be a part of the program. So again, for the youth track, we cap it. So it's not like we can take a whole lot more than that because of the hands-on component. So this year, we actually had it capped at 85. We let 87 come in. It represents schools from the 9-county area. So it's 4-H and FFA members from across the 9-county area. So it's everything that touches Washington County plus one more. They have a ton of hands-on activities. One of the pictures you see there is actually a cannulated Jersey cow. So that cannulated cow has a cannula in the side where the young people actually get to reach in and remove contents and see what rumen contents actually looks like. So very hands-on learning. One of the other pictures there that they did was a full necropsy. Part of production is understanding why things go wrong and how they go wrong and how to prevent them. So we actually partnered with Dr. Wunderlich and the Texas Veterinary Medical Diagnostic Lab and had the vets on staff to do a full necropsy with the students as well. The expo staff was great. They had a lot of extra things to handle for us this year in terms of some moving parts, and they were willing to step up to the plate and do those things with us and for us. Then we always have a hands-on learning aspect even for the adults. There's judging contests, things like that we expect the kids to participate in as well. Because again, we don't want them removed from it. We want them to be a part of it. And then the last component that we added to that that'll wrap up, I think, the bulk of my presentation before I turn it over to the rest of my cohorts here that are with me today, is the South Central Texas Cow-Calf Clinic. This is something that's been near and dear to my heart for a long time. When we figured out that the Horticulture Committee had the capacity to give scholarships like they do, I challenged the Beef Committee to do the same. And they wanted to do the same. So we started a drawing program. I think we're in our 6th year now, and you can see the summary of the numbers there. We've given away over 72 agricultural-related prizes from the first year only having 5 items to this year having 22 items on the ticket that are valued at right at $165,000 in total value, and have been able to award over $100,000 in scholarships to 48 kids in 6 years. So that is something that I put forward in our office as a way for us to give back to this community in an effort to generate revenue that is supports the kids, offset some of our existence here to the community in terms of financial contributions back. So those numbers continue to grow. You can see the partnerships we've had. That stimulates some of our local economy. You know, we partner with those folks to purchase items from them. Some of them are donated, some of them do it at cost, but it's all an opportunity for us to help stimulate agricultural growth and to give back to the kids that are in our program. So pretty excited to continue to see that grow and to support scholastic giving from Extension. That's kind of our main focus as far as outside of just the basics of our education component is to support scholastic giving here in the community. So that's the bulk of the ag. I'd be glad to entertain any questions that anyone has before we turn it over to Ms. Stephanie Rudolph, who will do her update on family community health.
So my question is this. Those young people that you had there, did you do any kind of after-action report or interviews with them to see if there are things that they are interested in that you could implement into the clinic? So
Sure.
that you did?
Absolutely. So if you've been to an extension program, you know one of the things we're really good at is a sign-in sheet and a survey. So the kids are not excluded from that. They're asked to give us feedback on topics that they'd like to see. That's where actually the necropsy came from. That's where the 2.0, the 101 and the 201 came from. They said, look, we've already been through the course. We want to keep coming back, but it's hard to build 4 independent years of material with the volunteers that we have that run those, because Sam Houston actually comes in and does it. It's a great recruiting opportunity for them. So the survey feedback that they have shared with us is what we use to modify the program from year to year.
All right.
So yes, sir, we do collect that. Not necessarily face-to-face, but we get it in writing.
Thank you.
All
Well
right,
done.
thank you.
Data driven.
Stephanie?
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So Family and Community Health is definitely kicking off this fall. So we started with our state TEEA conference, which is our Extension Education Association. We had 5 members drive all the way to Beaumont. I've never been there before, so that was interesting for me. But they learn our new state educational programs that they'll start presenting in January coming up. But also, we were very blessed that they were awarded the State Honor Roll of Counties Award. So our volunteers are not only making a difference here, but it's being noticed at the state. So I'm very proud of them. Our EEA members also came to visit y'all this fall just to give their update, where they have donated over $70,000 worth of volunteer time to Washington County last year. So we are very blessed for those group of volunteers that continue to work with Extension. They have a big program coming up, which is their county contest that comes up in February, and then they also are working toward awarding some scholarships in the spring. So we'll get to hear an update on that next time. I was very blessed to get to work with our Washington County Health and Wellness Committee, and I would like to say a sincere thank you to the committee, which was our HR department, Miss Angela, Miss Amber, Miss Beverly, and then Miss Kathleen with the Washington County Expo. On that committee, they asked me to step in and assist, and it was, I greatly enjoyed working with that committee. They are truly working to try to make Washington County a healthier place. So I can't take all the credit for this part, but we did host our health and wellness fair this fall. We had 22 vendors come in, we had 40 attendees, and altogether we're able to give a little over $750 worth of door prizes to people that came into the clinic. So if you weren't able to attend, we host it every fall. Definitely put it on your calendar. We had vendors from A&M to health and wellness. We had local physical gyms, just anything you can think of. We had someone there. I had my ears cleaned, and that was a very new experience I never would have done without going there. So I highly recommend, if you weren't able to attend, to put it on your calendar next year. And then finishing up, I am lucky enough that I get to help advise the 4-H Family Community Health program. So that includes food, nutrition, photography, fashion, interior design. So this fall was very busy. We started off with our food nutrition program. You'll see the back page, there is a little supplemental report. I'm going to apologize. There's only 1 year worth of data because we're starting this year. So going forward, we'll have more information. But this year, one of the highlights is we added Clover Kids to our contest. So anyone under the age of 3rd grade were able to not only participate in our practices for education, but they were able to compete in our county contest as well. So we had 6 little ones compete in food show for the first time. So very cute, and trying to help build that program. We also had our 4-H photography fall series. We had a wonderful volunteer who helped teach the kids how to take pictures, how to edit the picture, and then the last program, they took the picture and made it into an ornament. So it was a whole little series to teach them not only how to take photos, but kind of the next steps after. A few things I'm excited for that we found out this fall. We were awarded a grant for our fashion interior design, so we have $500 to start a sewing component in Washington County, which I'm very excited for. So hopefully by our next quarterly impact, I'll have a fun update on that so we can get that program started.
That's exciting. I look forward to seeing
Yes,
that.
I'm excited. I don't know how to
my niece
sew.
will be
so.
all over it.
Do y'all have any questions?
No, I'll just say you've done a lot of work. Stephanie, you've hit the ground running, so we
Thank you.
appreciate the work you're doing in that role. You've really taken a liking to it, so we appreciate it.
I'm excited, and like I said, I hope we'll have some more exciting updates in the future. So thank
Well,
you.
you've certainly
you.
stepped into the role and have just run with it. And so we look forward to seeing what else you're going to do moving forward.
Morning, Ms. Pearl. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good morning.
It's been a very busy fall for 4-H, I'm sure, as most of you know. We had 366 4-H members exhibit livestock projects at the 2023 Washington County Fair. 13 of those members were awarded Grand Champion in their respective project areas, and 12 of those members were awarded Reserve Grand Champion in their project areas as well. We did have 2 Washington County 4-H members run in the Washington County Fair Queen Contest, and 1 member was awarded the 2023 Washington County Fair Queen. Then into our fall major shows. It was a very busy fall for those as well. We had 1 member travel all the way to Amarillo to exhibit a heifer at the 2023 Tri-State Fair and Rodeo. And then we had 3 4-H members exhibit heifers at the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo in Waco, and 15 4-H members participated in the State Fair of Texas. And 3 of those members who exhibited at the State Fair of Texas sold their market animals in the premium auction. During this quarter, Washington County Commissioners Court proclaimed the first week of October National 4-H Week. We did have our county council come and present to the court, and this did start Say Per Sunday, and the week ended with Day of Service Saturday, which then bled into our Washington County Council meeting in November. Our Day of Service was Samaritan's Purse, and at our meeting, our members built 250 Samaritan Purse boxes, and then later that week, we went to Phillips Veterinary Hospital. They hosted us, and we packed about, I believe it was 350 boxes, because they had already had a few built beforehand. During all this time, livestock judging is going on, and we did have 24 4-H members compete in 11 different livestock judging contests, kind of across the state of Texas, but mostly in District 11.
Okay. Thank you, Pearl.
Thank you.
Very active. Thank you.
You will notice that we are 1 member short. Mary was lucky enough that she was able to take some time, so she is not here today, but you can see she has been extremely active in our community, having programs. Every month she helped host a health fair and items like that. So she, even though she's not able to be here, her section is in there, and you can see how she is also impacting our community as well. So.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any comments about the Washington County Extension Service Quarterly Impact Report?
I'm here.
Okay. Item number 5, discuss and possibly act upon the approval to help fund a new fire truck for the Burton Volunteer Fire Department. This morning we have with us Nathan Kalkaki, Ronnie Holt, and Ronnie Stanley with the Burton Fire Department. Would you gentlemen like to say something?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Ronnie. How are you, sir?
May of 1984, I joined the Burton Volunteer Fire Department, so it's coming up on 40 years. We had 3 booster trucks, 2 sets of bunker gear, 2 air packs, and the mandates and the challenges from the community for larger houses and more traffic, more land that's in wildland, and all that is just greatly increased the need for funding, money, and equipment. So we appreciate the money that's given to us for the help with this. Vehicles now are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can't just go buy one for, tens of thousands of dollars. So every bit we can get helps. So we appreciate the funding from the county.
No, and we appreciate the partnership between us and Burton Fire Department and what you guys do. We really appreciate it. This is a token of how much we appreciate that. It's a good working relationship, and we would love to continue that. So
All
thank
right.
you for what you do.
Appreciate a very active fire department. You guys are out there on that west side of the county. You sometimes like the Lone Ranger out there, but y'all take care of a big
It's
area.
a long ways between us and Dime Box.
Yes, it is, but really,
All right.
we really appreciate the way you handle your fire department and the job y'all do out there, for sure, so. The amount, this morning for the, help fund this fire truck is $30,000. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the funding of $30,000 for a new fire truck for the Burton Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Would you gentlemen like to come forward for a photo, please?
Where we need to be.
Right here. Nathan.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Just hold that out in front of you all, if you will.
Yeah, just get you there. All right, ready, 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Item number 6, discuss and possibly act upon the approval to help fund a new brush truck for the Gay Hill Fire Department. Gay Hill Volunteer Fire Department. Mr. Buckman, you here as representative, or who's going to?
You got,
Who's going to speak? Okay.
you got a lot of brass in here.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Judge, Commissioners,
Morning.
I'm Robert Buckman, the Assistant Chief with Gay Hill Fire Department, and I got Curtis Rodenbeck, the Fire Chief of Gay Hill Fire Department. What we are asking, and this kind of caught off guard, is the $15,000 funding for a replacement brush truck that we have. The truck that we're replacing is a 1986 standard. We've already put nearly $10,000 into it to make repairs that we sustained from the Burns Creek fire and subsequent grass fires on that. So we've had to completely re-outfit that truck. But it's, having been in the fire service for a long time, I retired after 30 years. This is older than I was. So it's time to move that back into a reserve status. We have had discussion on whether or not we're gonna sell that one to another department, since it's been, the tank and water supply has been re-outfitted. The truck that we're buying now is predominantly funded by our donation process. We've already taken delivery on the chassis, which is upwards of $60,000. We're keeping the money in Brenham. We sent it over to AMI to do the upfitting on it. That's gonna be a pretty substantial amount of money. So either way, we're gonna pay for it. We would sure appreciate that extra $15,000 to get that done. We did submit a grant through TIFMAS and the state to supply that, but there was another department that beat us out. They had more points, higher, however they rate that. So they beat us out on that one. That grant had been in works 2 years. So we just found out, but we had to replace that piece of equipment. That apparatus is, it'll still do the job, but it's not upfitted the way it needs to be. It's not safe for firefighters to work off of that apparatus. So we're gonna push it back over into a reserve status and get more modern technology. Grass firefighting equipment has progressed quite a bit since 1986. So it'll help us in the response. It's a 4-man cab, so it's safer for our firefighters. It's gonna carry, if I'm not mistaken, 350 gallons of water. 350 gallons of water, which, when you're putting wet stuff on the red stuff, 350 gallons of water does a lot of work. So we're asking you to consider and approve us favorably for that $15,000 supplement. If you have any questions.
Is this the
on
amount that y'all have left outstanding to pay, because it says the total cost is $145,000, correct?
Correct. 60, I have some rough numbers. 64,000 is on the cab, on the chassis, and the remainder of 142,000 to 143,000.
Because I was wondering if we had a standard, because I know like with the matches, we have a standard. Does that meet the standard? Is
Yes,
it
it does
typically
for what they're
10%,
getting.
15%, or what?
We usually do 15.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're gonna fund it. We're already in that process.
Yeah.
We had to make commitments on the chassis back when we dropped the grant on this, to get it in that production line.
Gotcha.
We understood very recently that Ford could not meet that production standard, so they pulled the chassis and we found another one.
Okay.
So our guys have done a whole lot of legwork to get this happening.
So that's our standard then, 10%? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. It wasn't.
That's what we
I just
started
wanted to
in
make sure that
2013.
whatever the percentage is, that it's been the same.
It is.
So,
All right.
okay.
Is there?
Well, thank y'all so much for doing all that work and for getting that stuff. I think that what we all hearing about these volunteer fire departments is that they're trying to keep ahead of where we are with our growth and maintain their equipment. I think we all as taxpayers benefit from that, and this Commissioners Court should support that when we can. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate the work you guys do, Curtis. I know y'all have been working a long time on this, so I appreciate it. So
Absolutely.
with that being said, I make a motion to approve the $15,000 for the new brush truck for the Gay Hill Volunteer Fire
I'll
Department.
second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
guys for your
Would you
work.
step forward?
We don't have any of the neat stuff up there.
You're good.
I want you to the side, man.
No, you're good. I was hoping not to get a picture.
1, 2, 3. You can't hide, Commissioner Hammond.
I was gonna say, you always try to hide.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Appreciate you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I read that article, by the way. Good. It was good. You did a good job. Yes.
Item number 7, discuss and possibly act upon posting of notice of intent to lease for grazing approximately 9,155 acres of Tom Green County property pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 263.007E3 and change the due date of the bids and the opening of the bids to January 11, 2024 at 10 a.m. and award date of January 16, 2024 at 9 a.m. This is what we
We've
had,
already
we had
discussed.
this, but with the timing wasn't right on the previous approval,
Okay.
so.
I make a motion to approve the posting of a notice of intent to lease for grazing approximately 9,155 acres of Tom Green County property pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 263.007E3 and change the due date of the bids and the opening of the bids to January 11th, 2024 at 10 a.m. and award date of January 16th, 2024 at 9 a.m.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, discuss and possibly act upon the approval for the recommendations for the HOT grant funding for the spring of 2024.
So Commissioners, Judge, you all know that we have these grant meetings twice a year. We budget $25,000 for this. If you notice on this document, there are 2 projects that did not get any award money. The funding committee felt like because of the amount of those, it would be best for those people to come to Commissioners Court and make those requests during our budgetary process. They feel like they're viable projects and that they really need to be provided some funding, but they would not be able to give them enough funding based upon the other funding requests that were within the queue. So I bring that to you. We also had discussions in that meeting about membership. You know, each member of this court has appointed someone to that hot board funding committee. There's one member that has asked for reappointment. For stepping down, and the others have asked for reappointment. We'll be getting with those members and with the court members of those individuals, and we'll make those decisions based upon that, and we'll have a vote on that in Commissioners Court. I just wanted to put that out there for all of you, so that if we do make a change to that board, I think it needs to be
We know it's
the entire board
incoming.
we vote on instead of just one member of the
Correct.
board. I think it was a really productive meeting. I will tell you, there's some discussions we're having with the city on how we're gonna do this going forward. And I'll be having meetings with Ms. Eckerman to go over those changes, and if there are changes needed in the ILA, to make that.
We'll have to revise that.
Yeah, and then I'll be bringing that to this court.
Good.
So
Understood.
they're requesting, if you note at the very bottom, there's $23,895. They're budgeted 25, so as it always, they're asking us to leave that other remaining amount there for them to give out in the fall.
Roll over.
And I think it's important to know, or to mention, just in case if others might not have been aware or been present when this came about earlier, but we do this twice a year. So there is $50,000 that the court budgets annually that just gets distributed twice a year. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I didn't want them to look at the 25 and be
Yeah,
like,
it's
50,000.
yeah, it's 50,000 total. But
and then another 50 to go towards,
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the recommendations for the HOT grant funding for the spring fiscal year 2024.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All-
Josh has a
Josh?
A quick question about those two projects that didn't have any funding next to them. Is there any background that can be given on those, like what those, like the descriptions for what those
Oh,
projects
what the
are?
projects were,
So,
Kurt?
one of them is for the Washington County Historical Society is for the Getting Stones Mansion. And, that's some renovations there for that, historical site. And the other one, the Texas Historical Cemetery, I don't know if you were here, Josh, but, the gentleman,
Stevens.
Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Stevens, yeah.
Came and gave a presentation to the group
Good
from.
old Washington?
Oh, Washington Cemetery.
Yes, and that is, they created a nonprofit organization for the cemetery, and the cemetery is looking into doing some renovations to that cemetery in order to bring it up to standards. They have, it's probably a very viable project because of its historical reference to this community.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, discuss and possibly act upon the request from Williamson County for the reimbursement of cash bonds made in the form of money orders given to the Washington County Jail on January 28, 2022 for $2,500 by Ferdius Camille. We have, well, we need to vote on this, I guess. We have determined that there is another avenue for this money to be reimbursed. And so I guess we need to go ahead and vote on this one, though. Just,
Yeah, we need to vote.
we need to vote to, but,
This is asking for taxpayer funding to.
right. So, but there's another
Refund.
avenue to do this, so I would entertain a motion.
Let me get back to it. Where are we?
Just table
I make a
it. I
motion
think you
to-
could just table it.
We don't
Can
want to
we-
bring it back. We don't need to
We don't wanna
table
bring it back.
It's going to be taken care of, so.
I make a motion to not approve agenda item 9.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Item number 10, discuss and possibly act to rescind November 14, 2023 approval of service contract between Washington County Sheriff's Office and Drone Sense.
Judge, real quick, simply put, we were not aware that this was available under the DIR purchasing, working with the auditor's office. We found out it was, so that's what we're doing. We would like y'all to rescind that and then approve it through the actual DIR.
Yeah. Did we approve it, though?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We did,
Okay.
so we have
I
to
couldn't
rescind it.
remember.
Rescind
At the
it.
time, we did not know it was on the
And
DIR.
That's
It has been
right.
vetted through the county attorney's office and stuff,
It has.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I make a motion to rescind November 14th, 2023 approvals of service contract between Washington County Sheriff's Office and Drone Sense.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of a service contract between Washington County Sheriff's Office and Drone Sense through DIR State Purchasing Cooperative, State Contract DIR CPO 4708.
There's also, Commissioners, cost savings to this.
Right, through
a
the
minimal-
DIR.
Yes, through the DIR. So I make a motion to approve the service contract between Washington County Sheriff's Office and Drone Sense through DIR State Purchasing Cooperative, State Contract DIR CPO 4708.
I'll second.
Motion been made, seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, discuss and possibly act upon authorization for the county auditor to seek requests for qualifications, RFQs, for financial audit services outside audit services.
Yes.
Sec-
This is just a correction from last week's agenda item to call it an RFQ. So we will get requesting qualifications from outside audit firms. And then once we get those, they'll be due on January 10th at 10 a.m. And then we have a committee that will go through them, score them, and at that point, we can negotiate a price with whichever the top person
Right.
is.
Right, because our
And-
understanding was is that we didn't have to have a specific award date because we don't know how long the negotiation
Right,
phase is.
that's
Right.
correct, yes.
Yeah.
And then, so once we're in negotiations and something is decided, then it will be put on.
Bring
the
it forth
agenda.
for a contract.
Yes.
Correct.
But they're due and will be open on January 10th.
Yes, they're
Correct.
due January 10th, yes. They don't have to be opened by a group because they're just submitting their qualifications, just like the landscaping thing was.
Okay. All right, we'll strike it. Is there
I make a motion to authorize the county auditor to seek requests for qualifications for financial audit services, which are outside audit services.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Do we gotta put the, when they're due?
January 10th, 20.
Amend your motion to
Oh,
be due
I
on
amend my
January-
motion
January 10th.
to include the due date of the RFQs for January 10th at, was it 9 or 10?
10.
10
10
a.m.
a.m.
Sorry.
No, I'll
10 to
second
10.
that. I'll second that. And
Okay.
I would just like to say, I think that one of the things that we discussed last time with this was pulling out the part that of this, calling it an RFP was wrong, but also pulling out the part for the cost or the
Right.
bid price for each of these. So
Right.
that was done in this contract,
Yeah.
this RFQ. So and I believe the county attorney's office has made that clear through the
Right,
statute.
because local government code 2254, it states in there that while you can include pricing in the,
Request for qualifications.
whatever, the scoring sheets, that you can include that if you want, but it cannot, it basically can't be a main
Right.
scoring function. So what we have done to protect it is to just remove that piece altogether.
And that's because RFQs are for professional services.
Services.
And so you wanna make sure you're choosing the right service and the person
Not
with the
the
right
cheapest
qualifications, not
price.
the lowest price,
Not-
which is
not
usually
based
a
on price.
requirement for an
For the
RFQ.
RFP, correct.
Or for an RFP, right, yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Thank you,
opposed?
Casey.
Motion carried. Item number 13, discuss and possibly act upon the adoption of a revised fee schedule for Washington County Environmental Health effective January 1st, 2024.
Yes, good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So this is an item that we discussed during budget.
Budget.
Yes, this has been about 5 years since the environmental fee schedule has been updated. What this would be doing is essentially bringing us up to cover some of the costs that we've had for the inflationary adjustments over the past few years. These do represent approximately average adjustments for our surrounding counties, just so we are relatively comparable for the products that we're going to be providing with these permit services.
Right.
Unless you have any other questions, it's I think this is a very fair.
No,
and-
I think we
and,
went through this and discussed and made some some revisions during the budget process.
Correct.
So I don't have any questions if
Yeah, and
anybody
we
else does.
We also eliminated some other things because we
Right.
felt like there were no need any
Yeah, three
longer
of
for
those were
charge
eliminated.
those things.
There
Those
is
were
some
just part
cleanup
of
that was
another-
done with this as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the work that was done on this.
I do too. Thank you, Mr. Marzon.
I make a motion to approve the revised fee schedule for the Washington County Environmental Health effective January 1, 2024.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, discuss and possibly act upon a final plat for a development located along Chadwick-Hogan Road and Caney Creek Road, Chadwick-Hogan Estates, consisting of 9 lots in the A-101 James Stevens Survey, Precinct 2.
Yes, this is the Chadwick-Hogan Estates subdivision as submitted. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. There's a change that took place where essentially they dropped these down from 14 lots that were proposed down to 9 to reduce the scope. This is still going to be along the frontage of Caney Creek Road as well as Chadwick-Hogan Road, and the minimum lot size that's being proposed with this particular subdivision is 1.75 acres, maximum of 4.44, with an average lot size included of 3.09 acres. This does meet all of the county requirements for subdivision standards, and we do recommend approval of the plat.
And these lots have enough road frontage, it looks like. I was just wondering,
You mean from the share, like if they
Yeah.
have to share access?
Yeah. The reason I asked that is because of site visibility and things like that. Y'all have already looked at all that.
Yes, sir. Site visibility is really not an issue on this
Okay.
particular stretch. It's very
Not on
open,
that
very
stretch.
straight.
It's
Yeah.
right before you get to that area.
Okay.
That's the
Right.
problem.
Boy, this is a nice development. There's no internal roads.
Yeah.
That is a nice aspect from the county standpoint.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't have to maintain it.
That's exactly right.
We already
I make a
maintain
motion
it.
to approve the final plat for development located along Chadwick-Hogan Road and Caney Creek Road, Chadwick-Hogan Estates, consisting of 9 lots in the A-101 James Stevens Survey, Precinct 2.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15, discuss and possibly act upon awarding the following annual bid items: right-of-way mowing, culverts, drive bridge piling, fuel, oils and asphalts, road construction materials, tires, and steel products.
Yes, I'd like to just give a little bit of a summary of the bids that we did receive for the annual advertisement that's gone out. I'll go through as it's listed from the start of the agenda item. So right-of-way mowing, we did receive 2 bids from this particular set. One was deemed that it was an unqualified bidder. They don't have any experience with right-of-way mowing. The other one is actually a contractor we've dealt with in the past, and is actually a lower cost than we received last year or the year before. Last year, the price differential between the annual bid that's been submitted is 4% reduction from the lowest qualified bidder.
That's great.
And that would be Wayne Pool.
And this is a new vendor they're not the ones that did this year's.
So this is the one that did Precinct 1 in 2022, and we had
Right.
excellent service with them, very low damage from
Yeah.
the services. This is not the same
As this
contractor
year.
as this year. Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Okay.
Because this was gonna be their last chance.
With culverts, we did receive a significantly lowered cost compared to last year, which is very nice. Wilson Culverts was the lowest bid, and we did see approximately a 12% reduction in our culvert prices per foot from the 2023 to 2024 numbers.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is always nice to see reduction.
Yeah, it has.
Bridge construction materials. Sanders Creek Construction is who we are recommending for award. The labor and equipment, as well as for new construction for the structure, is lower. However, substantial inclusion of the backhoe is included with these from historical numbers as well as projected. That will put annual piling driving over Sanders Construction from the projects that we're anticipating for 2024. So with those numbers, we will be recommending Sanders. And with that one, the only
They
increase.
didn't have a mobilization fee, I see.
That is also included with this. There is no mobilization fee included with their bid.
Yeah.
With that in mind, the only thing that's increased from last year to this year, to this year to next year,
Labor.
is Sanders Creek Construction. The labor and equipment to drive pilings went from $350 to $400.
That's understandable.
It's a reasonable adjustment. Overall, if you factor it in, it's approximately a 7% increase, which isn't, at least in ridiculous numbers like we've seen possibly in the past. So, fuel, this is one of the ones where we did see a slight increase, and keep in mind that we don't look at current rack price. That's something that they have to deliver us, the rack price at that time of delivery. The only thing we're looking for is the freight and load fee, the margins, and any other charges that would be associated with these. The Key Performance Petroleum is who we've dealt with in the past and who we're recommending for award. They did break this up into a cost for Expo delivery as well as EDS delivery. The EDS delivery is lower, the Expo is higher. However, the way that we've always done our bids, as well as the one way we've done it this year, is that it's one singular bid for both. So we can't break these into two separate contracts. That said, we do want to recommend an alternate in the case that Key Performance is unable to deliver fuel to the Expo.
And that was Alexander.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Alexander. Key
okay.
Performance is the primary, and Alexander would be the alternate.
Okay.
Oils and asphalts. I was actually pretty pleased with the oils and asphalts. Cleveland Asphalt has actually been our typical supplier in the past. We've actually been working with them pretty extensively, as well as some of the other ones that we've been communicating with, primarily due to the fact that we are going to be doing our in-house chip sealing, and we need to make sure that we have this very right. The SS1 included a 2% increase from last year, very, very close to what we had last. CRS2 was actually a 1% decrease. And actually the very nice thing that I'm looking at with this one is during our budgetary discussions, the two largest costs that we have in terms of a year-to-year basis is the topping rock for the chip seal, as well as the AC10, which would be the asphalt concrete binder. In this particular contract, we're looking at the AC10, which we were going through from a budgetary numbers of $4 per gallon. We did receive a bid of $3.20 per gallon. We've been in constant conversations with Ergon, and they are very confident they can deliver us as our needs arise in a very quick and efficient manner. We do want to award right asphalt products, just given the fact that it's always a good idea to have a backup in these particular cases. If there ever was a situation where Ergon wasn't able to deliver on a particular day and we don't want to hold up our operations, we do have a backup that we can resort to in those particular cases. So we've been...
But the Ergon is still, so I'm assuming for the 2024 budget, because I can't remember from several months ago, you said that you utilized $4?
$4 is what we budget, or we use for estimating purposes for budget, yes.
Okay.
$3.20 is what
So
was
it's
the-
still technically just a hair under budget in worst case scenario situations?
This is actually 20% reduction
less.
from a very
No,
large
I'm not talking
material
about the
source.
320, I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the
I'm
alternate.
talking about if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have to use right,
the
they're at
alternate.
397.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's still under budget in the case of a worst case scenario where
Yes,
you have to
ma'am.
utilize them. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Moving to road construction material, this includes a wide variety of products that we're going to be utilizing. As you know, the largest material that we utilize across the department is TxDOT 247 material, which is our base material, flex base material for our roadways, whether that be for our base under our paved roads as well as flex base for our unpaved roads. With that one in mind, we did see a very small increase of 4% of actually picking up at the actual pit. And our go-to has been Giddings. In 2022, there was availability issues. We had a little bit of availability issues this year, but we've been running pretty consistent with them. The bigger thing I do want to note is that the contract hauling to our yard did increase substantially. The two lowest bidders were actually the same price, although I do want to award several, just given the fact that we do need a lot of material with this one. With that one in 2023, the low bid for 247 grade 1-2 material was $23.50 per ton delivered to our site. The lowest bid for our two lowest bidders, which would be the same, which would be 979 Trucking as well as Brandon Industrial Group, was $28.50. We are still going to need that
What
resource.
number did you use in your projections for 2020?
I believe I used approximately 25.50 or something along those lines, an increase, but not of substantial proportion. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to get as much of the material ourselves from the pit to try and cover some of those costs. Another thing I do want to note is that we did get a separate contract bid for crushed concrete, Type D, that would fit 247 specifications. That is from BVR here in Brenham.
Oh.
Yes, but it's not that BVR. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be investigating their material. The whole reason being is that we need to
for shavings and things. Is that what
no,
you're
this
talking
this
about?
can be utilized for flex-based material. So it could be used for roadways unpaved. We do not intend on using that. It's a very angular material from the standpoint that it actually could puncture tires. The main thing we would want to be looking for is actually going underneath paved roads. It's a very solid, it's a very structurally sound material, and at that point we're looking at quite a bit of a savings from that standpoint.
What's the availability of that?
Well, this is the things that we need to look at. We haven't used them in the past.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm really hopeful for, if we can make sure that the product is 247 grade, and we can get enough supply, is $18 per ton is a very good price. And not to mention, with it being situated in Brenham, we could essentially go straight from our truck straight from that source straight to the road, rather than actually bring it to our yard and then bring it to another site. This would reduce increase efficiency and cut down on some time. So we're going to be working with them, just given the fact we haven't worked with them in the past and it's a new material. We're going to run that down, but it is something that we're very hopeful that could be very good for us.
Let's just make sure that folks don't get flats, Mr. Stoltz, because I'll get those phone calls.
Yeah,
well, that's
we
the
all
nice
will.
part is that we don't intend on putting those underneath our unpaved roads.
Okay.
Strictly for that purpose. But if we're going to put a good driving surface over the top of it and it's going to be structurally sound, I think that could be a very good
So
resource for the
basically,
future.
you're only going to utilize it if you intend to do a full rehab on one.
Yes, and we do have an extensive amount of full rehabilitation projects for the upcoming year, so we will need a very substantial amount of product for
Well,
that.
wouldn't you consider maybe trying it out with one and seeing what that looks like before we do a whole bunch?
Well, so what I'm going to do is we're going to do a sieve analysis on this product. And if it does meet TxDOT gradation requirements from the sieve analysis, I'm fully going to commit to utilizing it on some of our roads. If the sieve analysis does not come into those proper boundaries, you're going to have problems, and I don't intend on utilizing that. At that point, we're either going to work with them on some other options, or unfortunately, we're going to have to go straight to our more consistent 247 limestone material. But either way, it's a good option that we're going to be looking into for the future, and hopefully it can actually work out very well.
I appreciate you looking into that.
We
Yes.
gotta find out-of-the-box solutions, you know?
We're always looking to increase efficiency in any way we can.
I like that it's less money.
Same.
Ditto.
And now keep in mind, this would not completely offset all of our product. We still want to use limestone. It's a very consistent product.
No.
It's just something maybe to offset some of our costs going forward. So just keep that in mind. Our topping rock, this is pretty darn close to what our estimating was during budget. So it's not far off from that. The cost associated for the grade 3 material as well as the uncoated grade 4, which is going to be kind of a very common product that we're going to be utilizing, was very similar to last year. I think it was the exact same for the grade 3, and I think it may have been $1 more per ton for grade 4. The grade 4 pre-coated, which is another very common product for us, I believe it went up, I think 4%, which isn't anything drastic, but at the same time, it's a big product for us, so 4% does make an impact. But I think the AC10 reduction from our budgetary side is well going to cover the differential on that. So I'm very optimistic from that side.
And you're going to continue to use that pre-coated rock, correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay,
Absolutely.
because I will tell you, if you don't, then that dust will not make that rock stick as
Well,
well, and then we have
correct.
a problem.
You have to use a substantial amount more of AC10 at that point.
Right.
And you definitely can use the uncoated material, but it's a better product. It does adhere better. It's definitely preferred from a quality standpoint, 100%. So
Once again, I will get phone calls if you don't.
Right. But I do want to just note though that so the uncoated grade 4 material is I think $43 per ton if I'm not mistaken. The pre-coated material is $93 per ton. So it is a substantial increase, but at the same time, once again, you're exactly right. The quality differential is substantial at that point. So
Correct.
it's worth the additional quality. The tires, some of them went substantially lower and a couple went substantially higher. I'm talking about substantially 10% differential between last year and this year. Overall, I've kind of averaged out from what our typical utilization would be from quantity of purchasing of tires, and we're pretty much zeroed out. We're pretty much exactly zeroed out. We're intending to recommend Southern Tire Mart as they are the lowest overall. There's a couple tires that may be a little bit higher, but overall from across the board, they're less from what we're going to be purchasing. So we do recommend them. Going to the steel, we've got some winners here. We've got a couple losers, but nothing crazy drastic. With the beams, we're looking at approximately 2% increase. There's a couple that are a little bit lower. There's a couple a little bit higher, but overall averaged out for the beams, we're looking at 2% increase. That's inflationary numbers that we can project. It's nothing critical. The steel plate, overall averaged out, we're looking at an 8% increase. That's kind of a little bit of a more than typical inflationary numbers, but once again, steel is always a bit of a drastic change here and there. The 8 5/8 steel pipe, which is another big product that we purchase, that one went up 14%, but on the flip side, the 9 5/8 inch steel pipe that we would use for our drive pilings, our pilings for our bridges, that actually reduced by 23% from last year. And the 9 5/8 is actually something we prefer to utilize for our drive pilings, so something we're probably going to be utilizing for the next bridge.
How many bridges do you
construction.
have planned for next year?
We have one internal bridge that we're going to be planning for next year that we have budgeted for.
Okay.
Now, there is 5 from the state standpoint that we're working with, but internally for construction that these numbers would apply to would be 1.
So the railroad yard, I'm assuming they're a vendor, they're not an actual railroad yard, where you're using
Correct.
salvaged material.
No, this is brand new cast, brand new material. We've used them in the
Domestic,
past.
they provide MTRs, that whole thing?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. This is actually been our primary vendor for many years.
Okay.
Kleckner is another one. Kleckner is another one that we've
Yeah.
used. There is one aspect that the railroad yard was not able to submit a bid for that we do want to award that particular portion of the contract to them. But otherwise, we do want to allow alternates for both, just given the fact that sometimes steel can be a little bit variable in terms of availability. That's a little bit of a summary of the annual bids for the 2024 fiscal year. I know we had a very drastic increase across the board from 2022 into 2023. We have some increases from this year, as we always will, but I'm actually pretty optimistic about this one. It's not as big of a jump as we've seen in past years, and I'm hoping this is a good foreshadowing for the future of maybe some stabilizing prices.
I hope you have that crystal ball, Mr. Stokes.
No one does, but I sure hope.
I really do. I hope you do. But I thank you for doing a good job on this, putting all this together. I know I've been there when you guys have had to put this packet together for us and get all this information to us and go through all those bids and
Well, and
make
last
sure.
year, there were several no bids, so
No
we're
bids.
glad
Well,
that we don't have to go through
that is
again.
something that I missed during our presentation. I skimmed right over and I apologize. So one of the things that we did drop the ball on, so hold your
Compliments?
Your
Oh, so don't
compliments.
break my hand,
Yeah,
don't
hold
break
your
my hand,
compliments.
pat me on the back. Here we go.
So one of the things that we had last year that, I don't know if y'all remember mid-year, that there were some quality control issues for the aviation fuel.
Right.
And so we ended up actually doing a separate bid for that. One of the things that we do is everything is publicly advertised. Everything is publicly advertised. However, we do also give notifications to bidders that have submitted in the past, just so they're very clear they don't miss it during the holiday seasons.
Right.
One of the things that we did drop the ball on this year was that particular new bidder for the aviation fuel that can meet the quality requirements necessary. It just didn't get into our bid notification set, so we got a no bid for the aviation. That said, you're going to see on the next following item that we do want to go back out there, just like we did in 2023, for advertisement on the aviation fuel, just to make sure we get those bids properly in there with a vendor that can meet our quality control specifications.
Well, I was gonna ask you that later. Okay. Well, I make a motion, and I'm just gonna make a motion to approve the bids as presented by the county engineer. So I make a motion to approve the bids as presented by the Washington County engineer for right-of-way mowing, culverts, bridge piling, fuel, oils and asphalts, road construction material, tires, and steel products.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just want to say, Beth, for the purpose of the minutes, Wesley, I think it would be prudent for you to, if she doesn't have that, to give her the list of who the awardees are and who the backups.
She has it.
You have them all?
I'll need the original.
Well, that's, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm saying. Just in case, I want to make sure she has all that so that down the road, it's documented what we approved here today.
I do get open records requests for bids.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 16, discuss and possibly act upon authorization for the county engineer to seek bids for the 2024 annual aviation fuel contract.
Yes, this is what we were just discussing. This is broken out just for the aviation fuel for advertisements. We do want to recommend that these are opened, actually due and open on January 10th, 2024 at 10 a.m. And we would like to present this to the court for potential recommendation or approval on January 16th, 2024 at 9 a.m.
I make a motion for the authorization of the county engineer to seek bids for the 2024 annual aviation fuel contract. Those bids to be due January 10th, 10 p.m. at 10 a.m. Oh, yeah, not 10. 10 a.m. at the county clerk's office, and to be opened on January 16th, or to be awarded on January 16th, 9 a.m. in this courtroom.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I wouldn't want to pay that overtime, Mr. Stone.
Item number 17, discuss and possibly act upon the authorization for the county engineer to seek bids for a used water truck.
Yes, this is another item that we talked about during budget, was a acquisition of a water truck for the 2024 fiscal year. We went ahead and put our specifications for that particular vehicle, and we're hopeful maybe we can get some products in. I know we've been talking to some vendors about some products that may be able to meet specifications for these, so we're going to see what we get in, and hopefully it can meet our budgetary needs for 2024. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board and see what else we can come up with.
I know we had some discussions about this, about,
Well, because that's, I was gonna ask a question too, because I know we talked about the potential down the road of having 2 trucks, but that from a logistical standpoint, that you would be evaluating a larger truck to minimize the back and forth to the EDS. Is that the intent?
So what we're shooting for at this point in time is a 4,000 gallon water truck with a chassis that can support it.
Was that the larger one? I
Yes,
thought-
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we currently do operate 4 2,000 gallon water trucks. That said, we have to meet within our budgetary aspects for this, so.
What is the size of the current one that we're using?
2,000
It's
gallons.
2,000. This
Yes,
is
sir.
4,000.
This is the 4.
Yes, sir.
Clarify that.
So what we intend on doing is we're gonna go out for bids, we're gonna see what prices we're gonna be able to get for this. If they do fit within our budgetary aspects, then that's fantastic. If not, then once again, we'll go back to the drawing board and see what we can get within our budgetary confinements.
Because I don't recall us putting any capital outlay out for this.
We did not.
So you essentially would have to make a request to, for the court to do a budget amendment for that.
So we did include an additional $45,000, which was intended for the first year's payment of the water truck. We expected a $90,000 acquisition price for this, $45,000 coming from the 2024 fiscal year.
Oh, I didn't recall us putting that in there.
Yeah, we had talked at one time of buying 2 of these trucks, correct?
Right.
Like
There was
after
discussion
budget,
with
and
that.
there was some discussion. I was
There
like,
was
well,
discussion
we
there.
probably just need to stick with what we budgeted. We had those discussions. So
Yeah, I
See how
can't
one worked, does it
remember. I
cut back?
remember all the other equipment. I just didn't
Yeah.
remember specifically the water truck.
it was just about money.
That we put it
It always
in
is,
the
right?
capital outlay.
Just about
is what it
money.
means.
Gotta be able to work within within
Well, I'll
the
make a
constraints.
motion to,
Yeah.
to authorize Mr. Stoltz, the county engineer, to seek bids for a used water truck.
A second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Do we need to put in the motion that if it doesn't fit within your budgetary constraints, you're not going to do it?
No, because at the end of the day, we're gonna have to come back to court for the award, and at that point, if it doesn't, then I'm gonna recommend that we rebid at that point.
You put the January 10th.
But I do wanna say that, yes, this would follow the same,
Okay.
award,
So those-
opening, and, dates as the aviation, which would be January 10th for due and open at 10 a.m., and then January 16th at 9 a.m. for potential award, not for award.
I make that a part of my motion. Ms. Rothermel, did you get that?
Yes.
I'm sure the cameras did.
I'll re-second that
Okay.
amended
We're
motion.
110, January 10th, 10 a.m., due and open.
Yes, sir.
January 16th, award at 9 a.m.
Potential award.
Potential.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz.
Thank you.
Item number 18, discuss and possibly act on the approval of accounts payable.
Good morning. This week, we will be paying $417,696.77 worth of bills. That includes the final payment for the fairgrounds, their speaker system to Brighton Gale.
Yeah.
All of the checks to the volunteer fire departments for their fuel for this half of the year. The check to remove the trees from the front of the courthouse. The postage, which is for the voter registration cards. Apparently, the government doesn't trust us to send us a bill. We have to pay up front. Then lots of more legal fees and just
Yes,
general
and those
bills.
speakers were bought with ARPA funds, correct?
Correct.
That's coming out of the ARPA dollars.
Correct.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You're very festive today, Ms.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Party day.
Is it?
Party
Okay.
day. I wasn't invited.
Is today Tuesday? I thought so. Okay. I make a motion to approve counts payable.
A second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Item number 19,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we will reopen in a public meeting in about 5 minutes.